Okay. Dear Anjana Priyo Priyaku. Ah, Matsu.
This conference will now be recorded.
Welcome to the Anjana Sutta Academy. Daily Srimad Bhagavatam reading. And today is Tuesday, yeah, 2022, April 22nd. Here, Hanumatprasak Swami, and here is Ramakrishnananda Sarad Radhika Dasi, Devidasi, Ananda Vardhan Das, Srinivas Acharya Das, Abhinandan, Sugopi, Namakrishnamani Devidasi, Krishna, Krishnabanananda Devidasi, Ambarish, Jagadishwar Das. Yes, yes, Jagadishwar Das. Harsh Pradhan, Kitukopi Mendoza, Charles Lind, Charitamita Das, Jaya Haridas. Yeah. Oh, yeah, okay. Gracias. Mr. Devidasi, Sundar Radhika Devidasi. Okay. Let's see here. Somebody. Well, Srinivas, can you be our chief guest?
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances, all Vaishnava Prabhupada. Yes, Guru Maharaj, my pleasure.
Thank you very much. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari.
Giri Varadari.
Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari.
Yashoda Nandana Braja Janaranjana.
Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana.
Gamuta Tira Chari.
Yamunatira Vanachari.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari.
Gopi Janavara Girivara Gari.
Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari.
Yashoda Nandana Braja Janaranjana.
Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana.
Jamuna Tira Mana Chori.
Yamunatira Vanachari.
Yamuna Tira Mana Chari.
Yamunatira Vanachari.
Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari.
Shri Radha Madhava Astasaki Ija.
Jai.
Narayanam Namaskritam
Narayanam namaskritya
Naram Chaiva Narottamam
Naran chaiva narottamam
Devim Sarasvatim Vyasam
Devim saraswatim vyasam
Tato Jayam Mudirayat.
tato jayamudirayet.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Shri Shri Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th Canto, Chapter 46, Uddhava goes to Braja. Text number 44. Evam Nisha Sabruvator Vyatita
Evam nishasa bhruvatorvyatita
Nandasya Krishna Nucharasya Rajan
Nandasya Krishnanucharasya Rajan
Gopya Samutaya Nirupya Dipan
Gopya Samuthaya Nirupya Dipan
Vastun Samabhyarcha Daudini Amantun.
Vastun Samabhyarcha Dadhunyamantun
Oh, you chant please and we respond.
Evam nishasa bhruvatorvyatita
Evam Nisha Sabruvator Vyatita
Nandasya Krishnanucharasya Rajan
Nandasya Krishna Nucharasya Rajan
Gopya Samuttaya Nirupya Dipan
Gopya Samutaya Niropya Dayapan
Vastun Samabhyarcha Daudhinyamantum
Vasun Samabhyarcha Daudinyamantum. Other devotee, chant.
एवं निशासा भूर्वतो व्यतीता
Evam Nisa Sabruvator Vyatita
नन्दस्य कृष्णानुचरस्य राजन्
Nandasya Krishna Charasya Rajan
गोप्य समुत्थाय निरूप्य दीपान्
Gopya Samutaya Niripya Deepam
वास्तून सम्भ्यचर्य दधिनाय मन्थन्
Astun Samabhyarchya Daudinyamantum. One more.
Evan Nishasa Bruvator Vyatita
Evam Nisa Sabruvator Vyatita
Nandasya Krishna Nucharasya Rajan
Nandasya Krishna Nucharasya Rajan
Gopya Samutaya Nirupya Dipan
Gopya Samutaya Nirupya Deepam
Bastum Sama Vyatya Daudini Amantum
Astun Samabhyarchya Daudinya Amantu. Wow, difficult, yeah. Another lady? Yes.
Evan nishasa bruvator vyatita
Evam Nisha Sabrubator Vyataita.
Nandasya Krishnanucharasya Rayam
Nandasya Krishna Nucharasya Rajan.
Gopya Samutaya Nirupya Dipam
Gopya Samutaya Nirupyadayapan.
Bastung Samabhyarchya Dauniti Amantum
Vastum Samabhyarchadadinyamantum. Evam. Oh, Chief Goose, are you there?
Evam,
In this way.
in this way.
Nisha,
Nisha,
the night.
the night.
Sa,
Sa,
that.
that.
Bruvataho,
Bruvatoho,
as they were both speaking.
as they were both speaking.
Vyatita
Vyatita
was finished.
was finished.
Nandasya,
Nandasya,
Nanda Maharaj.
Nanda Maharaj.
Krishna Anusharasya,
Krishna Anucharasya,
and the servant of Krishna,
and the servant of Krishna,
Uddhava.
Uddhava.
Rajan,
Rajan,
O King Parakra,
O King Parikshit,
Gopyaha,
Gopyaha,
the cowherd women,
the cowherd woman,
Samutthaya,
Samuthaya,
rising from sleep,
rising from sleep,
Nirupya,
Nirupya,
lighting,
lighting,
Deepan,
Deepan,
lamps,
lamps,
Vastun,
Vastun,
the domestic deities.
the domestic deities.
We have the words Gandharva Veda, Arya Veda, and Vastu Veda. So we have Vastun. Also, I guess might be, well, yeah, also would be Stan Devata, no? No? Stan Devata, deity of the place. When we were traveling with Swarup Damodar, sometimes he's staying in some room, and then he would say something like, offer respects to the Stan Devata. Like maybe one particular prominent picture in the room of Krishna. Be okay, the guy in charge. Samab Yarcha,
Samabhyarchya,
worshiping.
worshipping.
Dadina. How do you pronounce that?
Dadhini,
Oh, it's okay, but it's Dad, okay. Dadini. There we go.
Dadhini,
Curds,
curds.
which in American English is yogurt. Yeah. Curds in American English is cottage cheese. Amantan,
Amantan,
charned.
churned.
Yeah. Evam nisha sabrupator vyatita nandasya charunasya rajan gopya samutaya nirupya dipan vastun samabhyarchar dadani amantu. While Krishna as a messenger continued speaking with Nanda, the night ended, O king. The women of the cowherd village rose from bed and lighting lamps, worshipped their household deities, and they began churning the yogurt into butter. Please repeat. While the king's messenger continued speaking with Nanda.
While Krishna's messenger continued speaking with Nanda.
Thank you. The night ended, O king.
The night ended, O king.
the women of the cowherd village rose from bed.
The women of the cowherd village rose from bed
And lighting lamps, worshipped their household deities.
worshipped their household deities.
Then they began churning the yogurt into butter.
Then they began churning the yogurt into butter.
Right. So it mustn't, the sun must not have been up, otherwise they would not have had to light lamps. And churning the yogurt into butter. So I guess the yogurt was maybe from the previous day or something. And so if you take the whole milk and mix it with a little yogurt, bacteria, and different bacteria produce different flavors. Yeah, it's interesting. So then it turns to yogurt, and that way it doesn't become putrid. Yeah. Then if you churn it, it separates into yogurt and what's it called? Yogurt. The yogurt separates into
Buttermilk and
what's the name for it? Hindi.
chas.
Chas. Yeah. Because American buttermilk is actually colored as yogurt. Chas and butter, and the chas is kind of thin. It's more like broth. But very very nutritious. And I was told in Raja usually that was like breakfast. Like it real quick makes some very big, robust chapatis and fresh, hot. They're very very nice. Easy to digest. And there's some of the chas and maybe whatever's available, some fruit, before. And then the men would go off to work. The ladies would get the household going and stuff, and then at some point they would cook, and then deliver it. And maybe by then it's time for the cows to all be sitting down and chewing their cud under trees, and too hot to go out in the sun. And the ladies show up with a nice picnic. Everybody has lunch together and discusses things and sing a song for musical instruments. Okay, ladies clean up and head back, get the house ready. And then the men maybe start working at the cows and also bring them back after some time. It's just a very, very nice way to maintain yourself. Okay, so we've been looking at the pastimes of Hanumatprasak, Krishna, and comparing them with the pastimes of Hanumatprasak. And of course, it's a very nice season to do this because we finished off Ram Navami, and in the next month we'll have Sita Navami. 1 month later, Sita appeared. So in this period between Ram's appearance and Sita's appearance, nice. We can discuss topics about Krishna's incarnation as Ramachandra, and why he's coming, what his purpose is, what the benefits are. So, as the chapter starts, as you remember, Krishna is impulsing Uddhava to go to Vrindavan with specific instructions to pacify the Brajbasis who are in great anxiety because of separation from him. Yeah. And then Uddhava arrives, and I think it describes Vrindavan. Very, very beautiful description of Vrindavan. The whole chapter is meditational. We're being sent, Uddhava is being sent for sankirtan purposes. Actually, everybody is lover of Krishna. Nitya Siddha Krishna Prema Sajja Kabunaya. It's not something you get from some other source. It's an eternal, perfect feature of the soul. And so therefore, everybody in the material world is, maybe it needs to be called back to Raja, to their service. So Sankirtan means going out, seeing beyond people's different insanities and vanities and all these kind of things. And trying to stimulate their heart, touch their hearts, with a message from their master. So very, very instructive section of how Krishna sends Uddhava on his mission, and then the environment where Uddhava finds the jiva souls. So people may be very crazy. They may be smelling of alcohol. They may be intoxicated. They may be angry, cruel, arrogant. Yeah. But all these things are external, meant for destruction. Other people may be quite clean and pure and developed everything else, and maybe Buddhists. Yeah. Okay, so we go beyond the externals. We're talking to people. We adjust for them. They have to adjust for the mind. Because somebody, even though externally is very gross, involved in the modes of nature, internally he may be very, very gentle-minded. Maybe they should be honest and humble. Yeah, I met people like that. No, right? Yeah. One guy on a bus, he was on a Greyhound, and the guy got on and he had a big bottle of Coca-Cola. And the more he drank the Coca-Cola, the more intoxicated he got. Yeah, so. And we were sitting there, and he was the only person on a bus who ever asked me a philosophical question. Just sitting side by side, maybe for like 45 minutes, Then finally he kind of turned to me in his relaxed mood or a little bit condition. And he said, but what's the use? It's all controlled anyway, isn't it? Yeah. Okay. So the guy had a philosophical view of life, basic principles. So I was explaining to him, well, yeah, there's some control. There's ultimate control. It's just like, the state controls, the United States of America, the federal government has control over everything. But they give states a certain authority, different driving laws in different states, and so on. And so each of us, eternally, God has given us our own little authority, like his kids or something, and we have to be responsible for our little part of the process, And he nodded his head, like in practical comprehension. Okay, Yeah. So that's people. They have bodies, they have minds, and then you go beyond that. This is even more confidential. They are eternal, living entities. And the most confidential knowledge is that the eternal living entity is related to a supreme living entity. Yeah. So by purifying ourselves and living on that platform, then we can relate to people on that platform. So Prabhupada, when we tell somebody you're not the body, okay, although we're maybe still involved in some bodily concept of life, if we're following four principles, okay, then we're not going to be very much involved in the bodily concept of life. Yeah. Um, but it has to become more subtle. So when Prabhupada says you're not the body, it's like, you're really experiencing that he's stimulating you with, right away with you're not the body, which means you have to be something else. Yeah, okay, and some non-body substance. Yeah, okay. So different people depending upon our realization. So, and then if we actually, what do you call it? What was one guy? What was his name now? He was pretty famous American actor and comedian. What is his name?
Will Smith?
Huh?
Will Smith?
Bislick?
No. Will Smith. I don't think
Will?
he's comedian, but yeah, he's an actor.
No. Will Rogers. Thank you. You got half of it. That was enough. Will Rogers. My parents' time, he was like one of their heroes. And I remember as a little child, they took us to his house, which had been turned into a memorial. And he was kind of a wise guy type guy. I think he played different nice movies and played a hero, and he just took hand off it. He was kind of like and with wisdom and a humorist. He died in an airplane accident with Wiley Post. He and Wiley Post were off in Wiley Post's airplane flying around Alaska, investigating routes, travel routes, and they crashed. Okay. Anyway, one of the things he said he was famous for was, I never met a man I didn't like. Okay. So how's it go? Pramandi Brahma. No, what's the one the first there? Brahma Bhuta. There you go, yeah. Brahma Bhuta, Prasanatma, Na Sochiti, Na Kangsati, Samasarveshu Bhuteshu, Mad Bhaktim Labhyate Param. Yeah, that when we come to this Brahman platform, which we're identifying as second initiation, formally, informally, whatever, you don't hanker, you don't lament. You know? And I've seen that amongst pujaris and ISKCON and stuff. You know, they're usually, yeah, things happen. They don't become upset about it and not hankering for things. You know, it's actually practical, works. Okay. And then sama sarveshu bhuteshu. They see all living entities equally, right? Okay. They don't think it's my enemy or something. Oh, the guy's having a bad day, something, you know, whatever. Something's disturbing him. He's reacting. Okay. Yeah. So then Uddhava, when he came to Vrindavan, when we get to people's hearts, we see it's a very nice atmosphere. Ultimately, the heart has to be, you know, have a nice atmosphere there, and so on. So the gopis were lamenting about everything here. Nanda Maharaj. First he saw Vrindavan, which of course is Chantaras, and then he went to Nanda and Yashoda, which of course is Vatsalya Ras. Okay, and I was describing that after having these discussions very nicely with Nanda, with Mother Yashoda just absorbed in intense separation, not even able to talk, that what the situation is. And the night is over, which means, I guess, like, Brahma Muhurta is coming. So the gopis are getting up and lighting lamps and starting to, what do you say? Churn the butter. That's text number 44. 45. As they pulled on the churning ropes with their bangled arms, the women of Braja shone with the splendor of their jewels, which reflected the lamp's lights. Their hips, breasts, and necklaces moved about, and their faces, anointed with reddish kumkum, my goodness, glowed radiantly with the luster of their earrings reflecting from their cheeks. That must be a very, very nice verse. How did Sukadeva Goswami compose that? It's a beautiful, beautiful poetry. Prabhupada says the impersonalists would be shocked by these verses. They said they cannot possibly imagine the variety available in the spiritual world. As the ladies of Braja loudly sang the glories of lotus-eyed Krishna, their songs blended with the sound of their churning, ascended to the sky, and this dissipated all inauspiciousness in every direction. When the godly sun had risen, the people of Vraja noticed the golden chariot in front of Nanda Maharaj's doorway. Who does this belong to? They asked. Maybe it'll say here. But that was their daily duty. They would go and visit Nanda and Yashoda and maybe offer some gifts and say some things. And then they realized that by seeing Krishna's friends, Nanda and Yashoda would be a little bit pacified in their feelings of separation. Perhaps Akrura has returned, he who fulfilled Kamsa's desire by taking lotus-eyed Krishna to Mathura. Is he going to use our flesh to offer funeral oblations to his master, who was so satisfied with his service? Funeral oblations. Well, I guess they've heard that Kamsa got it. Is he going to use our flesh to offer funeral oblations for his master, who was so satisfied with his service? As the women were speaking in this way, Uddhava appeared, having finished his early morning duties. Okay, yeah, that's heavy. It really got some bad things to say about Akrura here. Gosh. Let's look then. Okay, at Sridharananda Maharaj and Gopi Pradhananda's presentation of the comments of the Acharyas. So you go to advanced view. We remove the Devanagari and remove the synonyms. Remove this thing here, and go Control F44. Okay. Okay, so here's today's verse. Evam nisha sabhuvator vyatita. Okay, and there's no purports until we come to singing the glories of the Lord. Purport: the gopis were absorbed in thoughts of Krishna and were thus feeling his presence. Therefore, they could joyfully sing. Yeah, that's a question I have. Maybe others too. Weren't they feeling so much separation they couldn't joyfully sing? But they were feeling his presence. Yeah. So for some moment they forgot he was gone. The gopis angrily spoke this statement. Okay. Perhaps Akrura has returned. Okay. Kim sadayish yatya asamibir bhartu pritasya niskritim. Okay. This verse reveals the bitter disappointment the gopis felt when Akrura took Krishna away. However, they will be pleasantly surprised to see that this unexpected guest is Uddhava. So, chief guest, why will they be surprised when they see Uddhava? Pleasantly surprised.
Because he looks like Krishna, that's the first surprise.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. He looks exactly like, and therefore they immediately become shy immediately. And also, he's not an older man like Akrura, And they say, oh, he must be a very, very intimate servant of Krishna. He looks like him. Any other? Okay, so now we'll go next. Okay, we have a few more minutes here. Yeah. The Song of the Bee, Brahmara Gita. Okay. This is all in Vasantilak, no? Tam Vaksha Krishna Nucharam Rajastrayam Pralamba Bahunavakanjalochanam Pitambaram Pushkaramalinam Lasan Mukharavindam Paramrishta Kundalam. Pitambar, yellow dress. They must be talking about Uddhava's appearance. Malinam, maybe that means the garland. And Lasan, this is Namamishvaram Satchidananda Mugam Lasakundalam. Lasan means moving, bouncing, coming around. Swami said, you want to read this? Srinivas? Your microphone
Yes,
is
Guru
closed.
Maharaj. The mute button is not working for some reason. Okay, I hope you're able to hear me now.
I can hear you now, sir.
Okay. Shukadeva Goswami said, the young women of Raja became astonished upon seeing Lord Krishna's servant, who had long arms, whose eyes resembled a newly grown lotus, who wore a yellow garment and a lotus garland, and whose lotus-like face glowed with brightly polished earrings. Who is this handsome man? The gopis asked. Where has he come from? And whom does he serve? He's wearing Krishna's clothes and ornaments. Saying this, the gopis eagerly crowded around Uddhava, whose shelter was the lotus feet of Lord Uttama Shloka, Krishna.
Prashrayen avanata susakritam. So in Nectar of Devotion, there's a verse being quoted. I think it's from the Uddhava Gita, 11th canto, where Uddhava says, I always take remnants of your garlands and clothes and things like that and use them as prasad, and therefore the material nature never influences me. Okay. Next, can you read the next?
Okay. Bowing their heads in humility, the gopis duly honored Uddhava with their shy, smiling glances and pleasing words. They took him to a quiet place, seated him comfortably, and began to question him, for they recognized him to be a messenger from Krishna, the master of the goddess of fortune.
Goddess. Okay. And the chaste gopis were enlivened to see that a messenger had come from Krishna. As Uddhava will discover during his stay in Vrindavan, the unique gopis could not think of anything but their beloved Krishna. Okay. The gopis said, "We know that you are the personal servant of Krishna, the chief of the Yadus." Okay, the chief of the Yadus. Are they saying that sarcastically or whatever? And that you have come here on the order of your good master who desires to give pleasure to his parents. Anyata Govraja. We see nothing else he might consider worth remembering in these cow pastures of Raja. Indeed, the bonds of affection for one's family members are difficult to break, even for a sage. So they're thinking, oh, Krishna has now beautiful marble palaces inlaid with gold filigree, and beautiful, nice vases of fresh cut flowers from foreign countries, and nice incense also from China and Tibet, And he has, I guess, maybe not married. Is he married now? I don't know if he's married or not yet. I don't think so. Maybe, no, he's still in Dwarka, no, so he's, Mathura, so he's not married yet. Yeah, something like that. Yeah. So, but he's also there with very, very beautiful young girls and who can do crossword puzzles and have all these abilities and so on. They say that, And so they're wondering, well, why would he want to come back here? Well, we have his cow dung patties and, all this kind of stuff. And he has beautiful jewels and golden ornaments and all these things. Well, maybe because Nanda and Yashoda, who were such a dedicated foster parents to him. Okay. The friendship shown towards others, those who are not family members, is motivated by personal interest. Thus, it is a pretense that lasts only until one's purpose is fulfilled. Such friendship is like the interest men take in women or bees in flowers. Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur explains here that attractive women, like flowers, possess beauty, fragrance, tenderness, charm, and so on. And as bees drink only once of a flower's nectar, then leave it for another, fickle men, a band of beautiful and devoted women to pursue other pleasures. This tendency is condemned here by the gopis, who gave their hearts completely to Sri Krishna. The gopis wanted only to exhibit their charms for Lord Krishna's pleasure. And in the pain of separation, they question the motives of his friendship with them. Okay. These are the transcendental pastimes of the Lord. Both Lord Krishna and the gopis are completely liberated souls, engaged in spiritual loving affairs. By contrast, our so-called loving affairs, being perverted reflections of the perfect loving relations in the spiritual world, are polluted with lust, greed, pride, and so on. Like all liberated souls, the gopis, and certainly Lord Krishna himself, are eternally free of these lower qualities. And their intense loving affairs are motivated exclusively by unalloyed devotion. Nirshvam tyajanti ganika akalpam nripatim prajaha. Can you read?
Yes, Guru Maharaj. Prostitutes abandon a penniless man, subjects an incompetent king, students the teacher once they have finished their education, and priests a man who has remunerated him for a sacrifice. Birds abandon a tree when its fruits are gone, guests a house after they have eaten, animals a forest that has burned down, and a lover the woman he has enjoyed, even though she remains attached to him.
Iti gopyo hi govinde.
Thus speaking, the gopis, whose words, bodies, and minds were fully dedicated to Lord Govinda, put aside all their regular work now that Krishna's messenger, Sri Uddhava, had arrived among them. constantly remembering the activities their beloved Krishna had performed in his childhood and youth. They sang about them and cried without shame.
Yeah. I remembering that when Sita, when she was convinced that Hanuman was actually a messenger, representative, associate of Lord Ramachandra, and she said, "Well, how is he doing? Is he still alive? Is he happy? Has he forgotten me? Has he married somebody else?" So maybe also feeling some whatever uh, ideas. Why hasn't he come? Yeah, and saved me. Yeah. So purport. Can you read that? Yeah.
The word Balya Yoho here indicates that ever since their childhood, the gopis had been completely in love with Krishna. Thus, even though social custom dictated that they not reveal their love to others, they forgot all external considerations and openly wept before Krishna's messenger, Uddhava.
Yeah. So this was Uddhava, and they displayed this before Uddhava, but I don't think it was so much displayed any other time. Of course, when the Kuru was leaving, they came out and tried to stop Krishna, but it wasn't showing exactly a conjugal relationship with him. Everybody was trying to stop Krishna. I understand Shivaram Swami translating some other things that when Krishna came back to Vrindavan, okay, then their relationship was kind of known. And so then they couldn't do it anymore because Braja has a kind of high strict morality like that. So there was a very difficult situation. But then it was revealed that the cowherd boys had married all the gopis on the same year that when Krishna expanded as the cowherd boys. So actually they were married to Krishna. Okay. So they could associate with him. Okay. Okay. So maybe we can kind of stop here because it says one of the gopis, while meditating on her previous association with Krishna, saw a honeybee before her and imagined it to be a messenger sent by her beloved. Thus she spoke as follows. Okay. Kachyan madhu karam drishtva jayanti Krishna sangamam priya prasthapitam dutam kalpayit vedam abravit. Yeah. So what does kachin mean?
Kachit means one, somebody.
Okay. So that's Radharani right there. So that's a very, very special kachit.
Yes.
Yeah. And of course, the acharyas they identify it as Radharani. Well, why didn't Sukadeva Goswami just say one of the gopis named Radha?
Well, I don't know, but I heard that because he will go into ecstasy and he cannot talk anymore.
Yes, I've also heard that. I think it's a comment by one of the acharyas, maybe Vishwanath Chakrabarti. Okay. Yeah, okay. Read the purport. Srimati Radharani was referred to in this verse as Kachit, a certain gopi. To establish that this particular gopi is in fact Srimati Radharani, Jiva Goswami quotes the following verse from the Agni Purana. Gopya paprat shur ushasi Krishnanu charam udavam Hari lila viharangscha tatraikam radikam vina Radha tad babasamlina vasanaya viramita sakibi sabyadachchuda vijnana gunajrimbitam ijanti vasinam veda sharam angsa vibhavanai. At dawn, the gopis inquired from Krishna's servant Uddhava about the Lord's pastimes and recreation. Only Srimati Radharani, immersed in thought of Krishna, withdrew her interest in the talks. And Radha, who was worshipped by the residents of Vrindavan village, spoke up in the midst of her girlfriends. Her words were full of pure transcendental knowledge and expressed the ultimate portions of the Vedas. Okay. Bhagavad Gita 15:15, Krishna says, Vidaishcha sarvarhameva vedyo vedanta vedeva vedachaham. By all the Vedas I am known. To know Krishna is to love Krishna as Radharani by our own example and words. revealed her supreme love for the Lord. Having quoted the verses from the Agni Purana, Jiva Goswami also quotes from the Nishringa Tapani Upanishad, Purvakanda 2.4, Yam Sarve Devanamanti Mumukshavo Brahmavalinas Cha. All the demigods and all the transcendental philosophers who desire liberation bow down to the Supreme Lord. We should follow suit. Okay. So supplying evidence, but I've heard, it doesn't say this here, but I've heard the same thing, that Sukadeva Goswami was Radharani's parrot, Sukha. And if you mention her name, that would be too much stimulus. And so he would just fall into ecstasy. And since Maharaj Pariksit only had, 7 days to live total, he had to remain in enough consciousness to be able to preach to him. So he didn't do it. Yeah. So any questions or comments by any of our esteemed audience? Our chief guest, do you have any questions or comments?
Yes, Maharaj, I was thinking when the gopis assembled to talk to Uddhava, it must be some sort of talk amongst the gopis. Something must have happened to call each other. Obviously, he won't be visible for all the gopis at one time. There may be some secret messages being passed. Everybody, let's come and gather, see what's going on. There may be a lot of background stuff before they got Uddhava to some place to talk to.
Well, they were all together with him. So they crowded around him, because usually they all came just to see Nanda and Yashoda, in the morning, no? And so they crowded around him. Yeah. So maybe then, as it was receiving other people and talking a little bit, and then maybe right then they suggested let's go someplace a little bit farther away where we also would like to hear about Krishna.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, Maharaj.
Yeah. Thank you, Guru Maharaj.
Okay. Chaitanya Charitamrita.
The whole basics, all glories to Prabhupada.
Your volume is very low, very, very, very low. Can you increase it somehow? Closer to the microphone or something? Or
is that better?
Yeah, it's a little better. It's better, yeah.
Okay, I get very close.
Well, that's very nice.
Yeah, these pastimes are very intimate. They're very close too. Mentioning about the Radharani's name was not mentioned. Isn't that partially because of the author, Sukadeva Swami? He did not want to really mention Radharani's name when he's doing the translation of the Bhagavatam, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, one is because he himself would react that way, but also I think another reason, just in general, she's not mentioned because like you're saying, because it's very confidential and so not revealed to everybody. But Lord Chaitanya made it manifest.
I see. Very good.
Yeah.
All glories.
All glories to Shri Radha Nilamadava. Jaya Haridas. So today is Ekadasi, and reducing bodily requirements and increasing hearing and chanting about Govinda. Yeah. So, and Wednesday, and we're still working. We're trying to get a external microphone going for our Samsung S9 Plus, so we can start recording some things here. And our schedule is working out pretty good. Yeah, that's very, very nice. We're very happy because we see, for example, what our service is, and we're trying to organize this symposium on Jung and Bhaktisiddhanta, which is very nice, and see how it's working out. Basically investigating, have a discussion, investigation, see how much content is there really, before using Jung as like a tool to create a basis for a bridge from all of our Occidental traditions back to the Romans and everybody else, alchemists, and make a very, very nice, substantial connection with Oriental point of view to Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. Yeah. And okay, is it necessary? Is it possible? Is it useful? Useful because we're facing many problems. The whole world, Prabhupada says right in the beginning, the preface is facing many problems. And they're based upon greed. Like he's talking about lust and greed. Because if there wasn't lust and greed in both men and women, then there'd be no reason to start killing each other over nasty smelling oil. This stuff which you can't eat or drink and should actually be staying in the earth. It's actually disturbing her balance. So there's necessity of some fundamental changes in our perspective, our consciousness. And of course, we're proposing Krishna consciousness, but even Paramatma consciousness would be a big step up for a lot of people. And even pantheistic consciousness, appreciating how we're connected up with different things, the web of life, as the Lion King communicates, the circle of life, or we moet, just like that. Yeah, I'm saying we're totally in favor of the Buddhist cult if they follow ahimsa. If they're not vegetarian and killing animals, then we can't really call them Buddhists. We don't like that kind of idea of Buddhism. I don't think Buddha liked it either. So we're seeing about what we have to do, and all we can do is try and propose these things. People have free will, but we can propose them in more and more creative work and stimulate people in different ways to try and get them to associate with Krishna. Of course, the gopis all take vows to never talk to Krishna ever again. He's a rascal and unfaithful and all this kind of stuff. Within the gopas are sent off to try and canvass on his behalf. Yeah. So there's Sankirtan even there in Goloka, trying to distribute letters from Krishna to the gopis who don't want to hear another word from Krishna. So they got to be able to present their petition in such a way as to, catch the gopis for Krishna. So thank you all very much. Hare Krishna. We see here we have in the audience Ramakrishna Nanda Srinivasacharya Jagadishwar Krishna Devananda Krishna Carlos Volsu Gopi Carlos Vinastrota Manasi Gandalaxmana Tuti Arjuna Das Jagadguru Carolina Rasarani Madhavi Ambarish Vishabhanu Harivansi Alita Gopinaman Chintamani Gracias Ramalila Vishal Pundar Vanika Vadajapa Subal Chitragopi etc. Yeah. Thank you all very much. Haribol. Hare Krishna. There you go.
Thank you very much,
So much.
Very much.
Gracias, Gurudev. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, muchas gracias.
Oh.
Buen día.
Hare Krishna.